First, I'd like to introduce Laura Thomas. She's the Senior Community Support Specialist at Yola. Welcome, Laura. Thanks for joining us today.
Sure thing.
So I know that Yola has had champs for quite some time, and you're growing your champs program. How many champions do you currently have in your community?
Right now we have 8 champions. And part of why this number seems so low is because we like to hire the best ones. 2 of our past champs are actually now Yola employees, so we're pretty proud of that.
Yeah, it's actually a great way to sort of vet people for jobs as community managers.
It's absolutely one of the things we require our candidates to do now. At this point, when they apply to a job, when we're looking for a new support person, we actually send them straight to Get Satisfaction and say, show us what you got.
Are any of your champions also champion moderators?
No, not at this time. It's definitely something that I was interested in using when I was managing another community, but we had more structure in place at that community to be able to support users being in charge of moderating, and it was also a much smaller support team. Basically, it was me and my champs. So in that case, I was really, really anxious for the moderation tools, and they weren't available yet. And then I came to Yola, and they became available, and we weren't quite ready to put them into action. But we actually have some new strategies in place that we're looking forward to launch, and I think that we can actually get this to work for us in the future.
Awesome. And Yola has a pretty big support team too, so it's probably not as urgent for you guys to give champions moderator status as it was for you at your last company.
Right. Right now I think it's more important for us to have a little bit more control over the community, and we are really diligent about our moderation of it, so we would need to have a lot in place in order to make sure that they were fully trained and at a level where we felt comfortable letting them archive and merge topics.
Do you know, by any chance, how long it was between really launching the Yola Get Satisfaction community and anointing your first champ?
I wasn't here at that time. People that were here, we know that we were part of the private beta with you guys starting in early 2009, and we know that our first champs were Boomer, Ed, and John, and we think they were anointed pretty shortly after. They were already diligent users that we were familiar with from direct support. So I don't think we waited that long, but we could not find a date for you. So I'm going to say probably a couple of months.
Yeah, that's okay. I remember I actually did an interview with Monique, who is the support manager at Yola, a couple years back, and she was talking about just her strategy for growing the community, and that initially she was getting in there and answering every question as quickly as possible, but when she started to see just these kind of natural leaders arise and people realize there were people in the community who seemed to know a lot about the product, she would sort of hold off and give them an opportunity to answer, and I think that's when she kind of first started to probably see the champions sort of surfacing. Potential champions surfacing. Yeah,
it's great to sit back and watch who can take the lead, and they have a sense of pride for being the first person to reply, so we like to let them have that, and then as you showed in one of your screenshots, to then follow up with them saying, hey, a great answer, if we have anything to add, we'll add it at that point. If we sometimes it's rare, but sometimes there's something to correct or redirect, or a way that we would have rather presented the information. So we're big fans of letting them be first, and then we go in with the redirect or additional information as necessary, or just a, hey, great answer, thanks for helping out our community.
So what do you guys look for in a potential champion?
I would say the most important thing for us is to find people who are experts in our product, or at least in areas of our product. Since you can build and host websites with Yola, there's really a host of things that you can be an expert in. Some of our champs are more versed in code, custom code, CSS, or HTML, whereas others know less about that, but have a lot of really great information on search engine optimization. So users who are an expert in any part of our product offering, and the most important thing is that they've proven themselves to be brand evangelists, ones who are just, like you said, cheerleaders, but who always remind our users when, say, we have downtime and users are freaking out and saying, this always happens, how come this always happens to me? Then the people that we pinpoint as champs are the people that come on as a calm voice of reason to say, hey, this doesn't happen very often. We would never be able to say that. We wouldn't be able to say that without sounding defensive, because we agree. Any downtime is too much downtime. So all we can do is say we're sorry and keep working on it. But our champs can come in and say, hey, you guys, this doesn't happen that often. This is an anomaly, and bear with them while they work on it. So they get to be the voice that we can't be.
Yeah, exactly. So you had sent me a specific example of a situation like this where you guys had a denial of service attack. Do you want to talk to this a little bit?
Absolutely. So about 3 months ago, we had a horrible denial of service attack. It brought down our servers that host all of our hosted sites. So usually when we have downtime, it's a bummer. People can't log into their sites, but our hosted sites stay fine. And that's the most important thing to our users. If they can't get into their account, they get frustrated. But if their business website is down, the frustration is out the window and they're livid with every reason to be. They absolutely have every right to be upset. And, we're upset too. So we're all working frantically. And in this case, what we had to do was we ended up having to change the server that we were hosting these sites on in order, it was not safe to bring it back up. So we had to change the IP address. And what this meant is that every user with an externally pointed domain, meaning if they bought their domain, say at GoDaddy, but were pointing it to a Yola site, they had to actually go into their DNS settings and change it, which for most users is a horrible, awful thing that they barely get through once. And then all of a sudden, to bring their site back live, they had to go in and take action themselves. So they were losing it. We had 2 Get Satisfaction threads going at one time. Both of them have over 500 replies. And Nathan, who was at the time was an active user on our forum, and we'd been watching him for a while. That day, he was just in the front lines with us. I think he must have worked around the clock for 3 days as much as we did, answering as many questions as he could on the forum, telling everybody how to change their DNS settings, giving them the same links over and over because people don't read all the information we're providing. They've seen that it doesn't work. So really just answering the same question over and over and doing it accurately. And pretty much 12 hours into that experience, he got his champ crown. We said, you're definitely on board with us, and he really saved the day. He was our voice of reason big time that day.
It sounds like it was well deserved. I'm sure he was thrilled.
He was really thrilled. He was pretty excited to come through in a time of crisis, and he's proven to be a really fantastic champ since then. So sometimes you have to sort of loosen the reins, and we were definitely concerned about his age. He's one of the reasons why, as we talk about a new champ strategy that we're looking to introduce, he's definitely one of the reasons that we want to do that, because he does need some more guidance. Before we were making sure that we were really only promoting people that really didn't need support, but we're looking to bring more people on and have fresh champs, but to do that you have to be able to guide them a little bit further. So
Right. And this screen we're looking at is actually just a tiny sampling of the replies that Nathan gave in those threads that day. So I just wanted to kind of pull up an example of some of his replies. But yeah, that's awesome. Actually, Nathan is a champ in our community now too, and I think on his profile page, his little quote about himself is something like, "I like providing help in the Yola and Get Satisfaction communities," or something. So it's really sweet. He definitely has a good heart that way.
He does. He also has his own Get Satisfaction community now for his site, and he is the actual definition of a brand advocate. He will fight tooth and nail for Yola and for Get Satisfaction, but he will also do it really kindly and respectfully to the other users and to their viewpoints, which actually comes up in a thread that I think we're going to talk about a little bit later with Kiara, where we had a user who was sort of not such a big fan of our forum choice, and we were defending it to the best of our ability without being defensive, and Nathan came in and said, I love Yola, basically, and she kind of attacked him, actually, and he could have said, hey, you're missing my point, and that wasn't really very kind, but instead he just deleted his reply. And he let her sort of take the lead on that. And I think, that is something that we wouldn't expect to see from a normal community member or champ. Really, that's pretty much employee status, to be willing to, take that something that was misconstrued and hurt somebody and had no malice and just take it back and let them have it. He's definitely shown his worth in that way.
So once you notice someone with the potential to be a champ, what do you do to foster that?
Right now, I would say that we're really welcoming and encouraging. We acknowledge helpful participation from potential champs, but by that same token, I really feel like we make that same effort to do that community-wide. So I would say at this point we actually don't have a specific way that we're fostering just for champs, but we have stuff coming.
So how has using champions benefited your community and company?
So we touched on this a little bit, but I would say the most important thing is that they can say things that we can't say without looking defensive. It's easy for us to just plead guilty to all offenses, apologize, and work to resolve the problem without ever having to lose face, because our champs remain the voice of reason, come to our defense, and really make sure that we aren't losing face because they put a good face on it.
Yeah, and here's an example of one of your champs coming to your defense there.
That was basically a time where, where emotions were running high and feelings were being hurt, and no matter what we said, no matter how we spoke or how we candy coated things, this user was just hurt and bent out of shape, and nothing that we said was making it better. To a point where we were literally, Nathan was deleting his reply that had nothing bad in it. I was just laying down and saying, I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. Sorry you feel that way. And it was still none of the gestures we were making were being acknowledged by the user. But when this champ, Boomer, came on and said, hey, it's really nice of you to apologize, but really I didn't see anything wrong with that interaction, it pretty much ended the thread. At that point, Kiara said, I'm done with this, and it was very important to her that she begin and end the conversation. So that's what happened, and the only way it really stopped going back and forth was because our champ came in and said, I see this is going back and forth, but really I don't think there's anything wrong with how this is being handled, and that ended the confrontation.
How do you guys manage your champs, and do you have guidelines you've given them, or what additional would you like to share with us about what you guys are doing right now with your Champions program?
Sure. Well, so we've made a lot of allusions to how it's coming along. So right now, I would say we communicate with them mainly on the Get Satisfaction forum and the occasional email. They'll email direct into support, but we're really excited about a Champs website that we're working on. So what you'll see is it in progress. We've got a ways to go, but what we're working on is coming up with a website that will serve to provide guidelines on how we want our champs to conduct themselves on behalf of Yola, as well as we plan to provide assistance for how to answer common inquiries. When I did this with another company, I actually had status answers. We gave them pretty much access to this, like our knowledge base, where they can see all of our internal answers that we share and use, which for the most part is public anyway, but really giving them the resources to find it and to know where they can link to give the correct answers is something we're going to try and make a lot easier and more interactive on this website. And we have some really fun and exciting ideas how to keep them motivated once they are champs by showcasing a champ of the month to recognize excellent performance by the champs. And we're looking to provide special gifts and incentives to our champs throughout the year and on their champversary to celebrate their the time that they're choosing to spend with us, because it's a really big deal, the amount of time that these people are volunteering. So we want to do what we can to help keep them active and motivated. And we're actually looking into one of your products that you're offering now, the ability to have a private forum. We'd like to have a private place for our champs to go and give them advanced information when it's available, to sort of have them be part of the front lines answering questions when we release new things for our products, as well as to have a place where we can say, hey, you guys, don't comment on that. That was an abuse thread. Actually, what we want to do is delete it. And until we get that going, we won't feel comfortable using those cool moderation tools.
Does Yola have a customer support organization, or do they solely provide support via the community?
We're full functioning, actually. We have email support. We support via Get Satisfaction, Twitter, Facebook, and then we're actually launching at the beginning of this year a call center, and we're going international. So we have big stuff happening, and our team has it's doubled. It's getting so big, I haven't even met all of my team. So yeah, we definitely go beyond Get Satisfaction, but Get Satisfaction is our favorite place to manage our community.
Are champs ever encouraged to let others know about Yola?
I would say that that's sort of an automatic, because the people that are using champs are our brand evangelists. They're already out spreading the word. I would say before they've ever become a champ, they've already told everybody they know and then some. And you definitely see it on our community where, somebody new comes on and they will very often beat us to the meet and greet, and, we'll be telling them the benefits of Yola before we get a chance to get to the thread.
Well, thank you so much, Laura.